Arise, Queens. This is the All Queens Army, where women are provided with the tools you need to overcome your fears, face your flaws, and experience breakthroughs as you develop self-esteem so strong you emanate royalty. Now, for your host and commander of the All Queens Army, Breizy Time.
Welcome to the All Queens Army podcast. This is your girl, your host, Breizy Time. I am here today with another dope episode for the Queens. Yes, honey, so excited to be in your ear for another Monday's Motivate Her segment. You know, I love to be in your ear because you queens are in my heart. So I'm very thankful for every single one of you out there who tune in to the All Queens Army podcast time and time again, Monday after Monday after Monday. And if this is your first time finding the All Queens Army podcast, and this is your first time tuning in, I want to say welcome to the queendom, honey. Yes! I have so much good, exciting information for you queens today. The topic is dope as fuck. So super excited. Before I jump into today's topic, I just want to cover two things. Well, three. Okay. First things first. If you have not subscribed to the All Queens Army podcast, please do so, okay? I keep asking y'all that every week, okay? Make sure that you go and subscribe to All Queens Army podcast. You can do that on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, or you can go directly to the All Queens Army website, which is www.allqueensarmy.com, and you can click subscribe. You will just get a notification every time a new episode comes out. You also will be joining the email list so that you can get the exclusive content that I share with the Queen community, okay? So that's the first thing. Second thing, after you listen to this episode, can y'all do me a little teeny baby favor? Thanks. Okay. What I'd like for you queens to do is write a review, okay? So whichever platform you're listening to the All Queens Army on, please write a review. Let me know what you think about the topics that we discussed or the specific episode that you tuned into. Really appreciate it, queens. I love your feedback because it helps me to figure out what the best content is and what the best topics are to cover for the queens, okay? So appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, third thing before we jump into today's topic. Thing number 3 is, if this is your first time tuning in to the All Queens Army podcast, I just want you to know that, yeah, I curse, okay? So this is kind of like rated R. It's not rated X. There's no sex going on. You guys can't see me anyway, but I'm just saying. So I do curse, okay? I drop some F-bombs. I drop some MF bombs. I drop some S-bombs, okay? S like shit, yeah. Because I am a super duper duper passionate queen. And sometimes I just need like an extra super big explanation point. And curse words are like my explanation points because like you guys can't see me and I'm not like typing. So I have to use a curse word. All right. So if you're super sensitive, I'd say maybe you should just tune out right now if like cursing is like offensive to you. But if you like some kind of rough, harsh, you know, a little spice, a little flavor in your communication, in your ear, in your motivation, yeah, keep listening because I got some dope shit for you, okay? Okay, queen. So let's jump into today's topic. Very excited to talk about today's topic. I want you queens to know that I got today's topic just from a conversation that I had with a queen, something that she shared with me. So as you queens know, I always tell a story, and I am going to be telling this queen's story, okay? I never, ever share who the queen is, and I guarantee you, if said queen is even listening, she probably doesn't even realize that this is her story, okay? Because I will not put anyone on blast in that way. But these are real life situations and real life scenarios that have either been shared with me, that I read, situations that I see on social media, or that I received a DM or an email about. Okay, so that also goes to say that, queens, if you have a topic that you'd like for me to discuss, to talk about, or you want to hear my opinion on, or something you just want me to cover, send me a DM on Instagram or a message on Facebook, or you can email me at Breizy@allqueensarmy.com, and that is BREIZY @allqueensarmy.com. Okay. So now let's get into today's topic. What the hell are we going to talk about? What is this Monday Motivate Her segment all about? I'm going to tell you. Today's segment is, and this is for the queens who are out there who are dating, who are in relationships or situationships or whatever the situation may be. Today's topic is called Single doesn't mean emotionally available. Interesting, huh? Let me tell you, queens, what that means, because I know some of you are probably like, okay, what the fuck? What does that mean? Okay, let me tell you. Single doesn't mean emotionally available. There's a lot of people out there who are single, meaning they are not in a relationship. They're not physically in a relationship. They're not committed to anyone. They're no one's boyfriend. They're no one's husband, okay? Or they're no one's girlfriend. They're no one's wife, right? This isn't exclusive to men. This is about women too. This topic is also going to maybe hit some of you queens in a personal space as well, because this is not specific to men or issues that men bring to us. This topic, or any significant other for that matter, this topic is about people in general, whether it's me, you, a dude that we're talking to, a girl that we're dating. It doesn't matter. It's in regards to people, okay? So when I say that single doesn't mean emotionally available, I'm talking about men and women. It doesn't mean that you're emotionally available, okay? It just means that you're not in the present moment committed to anyone. So a lot of queens who are out there in the dating field, the dating scene, even some of the married queens, find themselves in relationships with people who are emotionally unavailable. Now, let me explain what emotionally unavailable means, okay? Emotionally unavailable means that a person does not have the capacity to get into their emotions with you, or vice versa. It could be you. You don't have the capacity to be emotionally vulnerable to someone else, okay? Emotional availability is about the ability to be vulnerable emotionally to another person. And there's so many people, men and women, kings and queens, walking around emotionally bruised and scarred and not allowing anyone in, not allowing anyone to penetrate their emotions. They're walking around guarded. They're walking around trying to save face, trying to prevent their hearts from being broken. But that's not even the bigger issue with emotional unavailable people. The bigger issue to me with emotional unavailable people are the ones who are emotionally unavailable because they still have a tie with someone else. I see it happen a lot. I actually even experienced it in one of my own relationships. In one of them, or actually two of them, in one of them, I was the emotionally unavailable person. And in another one, I was in a relationship with someone who was emotionally unavailable. So I want to focus today on, because this topic could go really deep and it could go in so many different directions. But today I want to focus on the emotionally unavailable people who are emotionally unavailable because they are still tied to someone else, meaning they still either have feelings for someone else, they're still entertaining someone else, they still want someone else, or they still think someone else wants them. Yeah, that's one too. A lot of women say like, oh, their kid's father, baby daddy, that's what we call it, honey. Baby daddy still want me, da da da. Listen, if that's the mind frame and the mindset that you have where you still think that your ex wants you, or first, like, why do you even give a shit? Why do you even care? Why are you even talking about it? The fact that you're even still discussing it and saying it says that you are still tied to that person emotionally, okay? Because if you weren't, even if they did still want you, it just wouldn't even be anywhere in your psyche for you to discuss. You wouldn't care enough to mention it. You wouldn't care enough to bring it up, because everything that you talk about and everything that you bring up, you're actually manifesting an energy around that thing into your life. Okay, different subject. Let me stay on target, all right? So again, I want to focus specifically on men and women who are in relationships who are emotionally unavailable because they still have a tie to someone else, whether it be their ex, whether it be, you know, who knows, a best friend that they're secretly in love with, who the fuck knows, okay? But there's so many people who do this, and then they wonder why their current relationships are not working. They wonder why their spouse feels insecure. They wonder why their spouse doesn't trust them. They wonder why their spouse looks at them like, hey, what are you hiding? Because you are hiding something. If in fact you still have a tie to anyone who is not the person that you're in a relationship with, baby, it is an emotional affair. A lot of people don't want to accept it. So, and also on top of that, a lot of people don't even know how to identify when someone is emotionally unavailable, okay? So let me explain a couple things that you can look out for to know if you're in a relationship with someone who is emotionally unavailable. One, You express to that person something that's bothering you, something that you want, something that you feel, anything emotional, right? Any emotions that you express, that person just cannot be compassionate to how you feel. Either they're aloof, they're distracted, they're distant, they don't care, they're disconnected. Okay? A lot of times people who are showing you those characteristics, it's not just because they don't give a shit. It's because there's someone else or something else filling that intimate space in their life. Okay? Because let me tell you something, queens. There's only room for one intimate space in your life. There's not a whole bunch of them, right? We weren't put here to have multiple intimate relationships. I know some people think that that's what it is, but if you really want someone who is deeply in love with you, who deeply, deeply, deeply wants to be with you and only you, who has eyes for only you, who loves your funky ass drawers, honey, if that's the kind of relationship you want, if that's the kind of love you want, if that's the kind of security that you want to feel, if that's the kind of dedication that you're hoping for, that you're praying for, if you've been praying for your Russell Wilson sis, I'm going to tell you something. You've got to get rid of all of the emotional attachments you have with other people. If there's anyone in that space in your life that is meant for intimate relationships, you've got to move that person out of that space. You've got to free up that space so that you can get the right person in that space. Because if someone is occupying that space in your life, you can't manifest, you can't attract someone else, okay? You know how they say, in order for you to get something that you want, you've got to let go of something that you have. In order to get something that you've never had, you've got to do something you've never done. Like, you have to give up something in order to get something, okay? You can't hold on to things that make you comfortable. You can't hold on to people who make you comfortable. You can't hold on to people who you know really deeply love you, even if you ain't really that fucking in love with them, because they kind of feed your ego. You can't do that. You have to let it go. You have to open up that intimate space in your life so that you can allow for something new to come in to fill that space, okay? Now, I've seen people have like their kids in that intimate space in their life. Now, I'm not saying intimate, queens, like there's intimate physical things going on. I'm talking about the kind of love that you give and that you experience intimately, that deep, vulnerable love, that you're willing to open yourself up and be totally vulnerable to someone, okay? A lot of people have their kids because it's safe, because you know your children won't leave you, you know? A lot of people put their kids in that space in their life. Some people put their parents in that space in their life. Some people put other people, their exes, in that space in their life. Some people are holding on to past relationships and having that in that space in their life. Some people have their quote unquote, and I'm doing finger quotes, best friends, right? Because there's a lot of that going around. That's my homeboy. That's my homegirl. They have those people in that intimate space in their life. They have their best buds, their sisters, their fristers, or whatever in that space in their life. And I'm telling you, you have to learn how to change that intimate bond. You've got to cut the umbilical cord with those people. It doesn't mean that you have to, nix them from your life or you have to completely cut them off. You don't really have to do that depending on the relationship you have with the person. Like if it's your mom, you don't have to cut your mom off, but you do have to reallocate the way that that relationship is working and where that relationship falls in your life if you're saying that you want a different type of relationship, okay? So that's one thing, is that you have to free up that space, okay, queens? So here is another thing that you're going to want to look out for, okay? Emotional ties represent codependency and insecurity. A lot of people won't understand that either, right? But an emotional tie is like an umbilical cord. It's just like, think of an invisible umbilical cord that goes from you to another person, all right? You're feeding off of that person. You're getting something from that person. That person is filling some sort of a void in your life, and you're dearly holding on to it, right? Now, also look at this from the perspective of it could possibly be someone else. Someone else could be doing that. Someone else could be having that type of a relationship. You could be in a relationship with a man or a woman who has that kind of emotional tie to someone. And let me also say this. You don't have to talk to a person every single day to still have an emotional tie or an emotional bond to someone, okay? The emotional tie and the emotional bond is not something that's tangible. It's not something you can see. It's actually more mental and spiritual than it is anything else. Okay. It is a bond that can't be seen or touched. It is something that you're mentally creating, and spiritually you've bonded and tied yourself to this person. And what I'm saying is that when you tie yourself to a person emotionally, it's almost like an umbilical cord, and you're exchanging something. You're getting something from that person, and that person is also getting something from you. And I say that it's tied into insecurity and codependency because the reason that some people hold on to those people and those relationships is because whatever it is that they're getting out of that emotional umbilical cord, they're either scared that they're not going to get it somewhere else, or they're kind of using the person to, again, fulfill their insecurities or fulfill their voids, kind of what I said previously, okay? So that's why a lot of times people will continue to hold on to other people and not be able to move on. Now, that goes into another issue that emotional ties create. When you have an emotional tie with someone, especially if it's someone from your past, like an ex-boyfriend, an ex-girlfriend, a baby mother, a baby father, whatever the case is, or ex-husband, ex-wife, all of that shit. Any ex, anything, right? Any previous relationship, anything. When you have that bond still with that person, baby, it is holding you the fuck back. So think about this, like visualize this, right? Visualize you or visualize your partner, right? But if you're in a relationship with someone who you think has an emotional tie to someone else, visualize that person, okay? But visualize two people who have like a little umbilical cord tied to each other. And this person is someone from their past or someone from your past, right? Past boyfriend, whatever. And you're trying to move forward with your life. You're trying to go in new directions. You're trying to attract new relationships. You're trying to succeed in new things that you've never done before. You're trying to trek through new terrain. You're trying to experience life the way that you've never experienced it before. You're trying to level the fuck up to the next level that you know you goddamn deserve. How the hell are you going to do that with an emotional umbilical cord tied to someone else? I mean, are you going to bring the motherfucker with you? Listen, they hold you back. Emotional ties hold you back. You cannot move forward when you are literally stuck and connected to someone else, okay? Because one thing that I can tell you, queens, is the only thing that we can control is ourselves, okay? So if you're tied to someone else and you're trying to move forward, but you have this umbilical cord, okay? I'm using my finger quotes again, that's tying you emotionally to someone else from your past. How the fuck you gonna bring your past to your future? You can't do it. It doesn't work that way, okay? So I'm just trying to paint a picture, right? I actually just closed my eyes while I explained that because I wanted to visualize it myself. You can't force other people to move. You can't, it's like being handcuffed to someone, okay? If you're trying to move forward and they ain't trying to move, honey, y'all ain't going nowhere. The person is holding you back. So you have to think about emotional ties from that perspective. If you have an emotional tie with someone from your past, again, a friend, anyone, okay, anyone that you have this intimate emotional tie with, if that emotional tie is not with the person that you can and want to spend the rest of your fucking life with, you have to cut the umbilical cord. Again, if that emotional tie is with a family member, your child, you know, just anyone in your life that you just aren't going to X them out of your life, then you have to learn how to reallocate that relationship. You have to put that relationship into a different category, probably a more appropriate one. All right. So, okay, here's the fourth thing real quick. The fourth thing that that emotional ties wind up creating a problem with and why emotional ties are an issue. I can't get my fucking words together. But here's the fourth thing. Emotional ties lead to cheating, lying, and dishonesty. Now, let me explain why. When you have a bond still that you are continuing to cultivate with someone from your past, like I said, an ex or whatever the case may be, that's like the first comfort zone or comfort level that you have to talk about problems, to run back to your comfort zone when something that you're coming up against in your new world isn't going right. Okay. When you start to get uncomfortable because you're trying something new and you're stretching yourself and you're trying to evolve and you're trying to achieve and accomplish things you've never done before, but you're trying to literally grasp at your hopes and your dreams, it's going to get difficult at times. Okay. It's going to get tough at times. It's going to feel uncomfortable at times because the shit is new. And a lot of times what happens is when you have that emotional tie to someone else and you have that bond, you literally fall back into your natural instinct and you run back to that comfort zone. It doesn't necessarily even have to be like a sexual run back. It could be an emotional thing. It could be that you run back to this person and you have a conversation with them that maybe you shouldn't be having. Okay? If you can't tell your current partner, if your dude, your girl can't tell you about a certain conversation that they had with someone else because they feel like you would get mad or you wouldn't understand, it shouldn't be happening. But a lot of times that's what people do, okay? Because growth requires discomfort. Because you're doing something new, you're doing something different. You don't know where it's like walking in the dark, okay? And a lot of times people get nervous about walking in the dark because they don't know what to expect. And they run back to what they know. They run back to what's comfortable. And that's what emotional ties do. Again, think of it as an umbilical cord. Okay, if you run away too far, the motherfucker pulls you back like a goddamn spring. You've got to cut the umbilical cords. So I just wanted to give you guys those 4 types of like kind of scenarios and issues that emotional bonds will cause in your life. And again, you can also apply this to relationships that you're currently in or have been in or recently ended. If you felt like you were in a relationship with someone who just couldn't 100% commit to you or couldn't 100% be vulnerable to you or couldn't 100% get in the emotional part of the relationship with you, I guarantee you 90% of the time and a 90% chance that that person was still tied to someone else, okay? Even if they said they wasn't with the chick, they broke up with her, I don't want to know more, blah, 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 blah. Listen, it's not physical. It is mental and it is a spiritual bond, all right? So let me tell you, Queens, a story. I went a little longer than expected with talking about why emotional ties are an issue. But I want to tell you a story. I'm going to make it really, really short because I'm running out of time, okay? So as I shared with you, Queens, this is something that another queen told me in confidence. Now, there's a queen. She is married, okay? She's so beautiful. You guys know I think all of the queens are so absolutely beautiful. But she is absolutely a beautiful, beautiful queen, a very sweet girl. She's like one of the nicest people I've ever met. And she's married. And she's been married, I think, for 6 years. And she recently overheard her husband on the phone with someone. And the conversation went similar to this. I can't give y'all the exact words because I'm recalling this from memory. But she said that she overheard her husband say, "Hey, I need you to make a payment because I need to make sure my credit card bill is paid. I don't want it to affect my credit." And so when her husband got off the phone, she questioned him about like, well, who was that? And, you know, like who's paying a credit card payment for you? And he said, oh, that was, you know, the guy who works with me's grandmother. Come to find out, long story short, after she kept pulling back layers of the onion, because first of all, she didn't know who the young boy is that worked with him, and she didn't know who his grandmother was. And furthermore, she couldn't understand why the hell he was talking to her on the phone about a credit card payment. So she kept digging to figure out, like, who the hell is this person? Long story short, and I'm fast forwarding this a lot because, again, I'm trying to make sure I don't run out of time. But long story short, the woman was his ex-wife. Now, they have been divorced for, I think, like 13 or 14 years. Okay, so they have not been together. They haven't been together for a very long time. They've been divorced for a long time. So basically, this queen's like, so wait a minute. So you gave, like, why is this woman paying your credit card bill? And then he finally said that he had let her loan some money, his ex-wife, loan some money from him to get her car fixed. Okay, so queens, here's what I want to say about this story. It is not a problem, in my opinion, that you're being friendly to your ex-wife or lending her money in a hard time. Because if you guys have grown to a place where you have been able to co-parent your children, or, you know, you've just grown a friendship. I mean, you've been apart for a really long time and now you're friends. I don't think there's anything wrong with helping people. Okay, so let me get that straight first. I think where the problem comes in this story is the lack of sharing what was going on. It was almost like this loan was done in secret. And even when the queen questioned the husband about who were you talking to, he still wasn't forthcoming with who he was talking to. He was trying to kind of code and hide who he was talking to because he could have just said, oh, that was my ex-wife. But instead he said, oh, that was the young boy who works with me's mother. Okay. Now let me explain that a little bit. He said it was the young boy who works with me's grandmother. Okay. Now come to find out the young boy who works with him is his grandson. So why didn't he just say my grandson or say the grandson's name, which the queen would have recognized, or say my ex-wife? So what happened is it's not an issue that he helped his ex. The issue is that he didn't tell his wife what he was doing. He didn't talk to his wife about it. He wasn't forthcoming when he was questioned. And all of those things lead a woman to feel and believe that he's being secretive, that he's hiding something. Now, if you need to hide something, then what does that say? It probably says that you know that it's not the right thing to do, that you feel guilty about it, that you know that you shouldn't do it, that you wouldn't want someone to do it to you. And that's where the issue comes in, okay? So as I continue to talk to this queen, what I deduced from her sharing her story is that this husband, after all of these years of him and his ex-wife being divorced, and 6 years in his new marriage to this current queen, he still had an emotional tie to his ex-wife. And let me explain the emotional tie. Again, this is information that I learned from listening to the queen tell me the story. This woman that he was married to, of course, is the mother of his children. This woman that he was married to, he has remained cordially friendly with, but he also continued to feel like he was responsible for helping her. He just didn't feel comfortable telling her no. She had done so much for his children over the years, even during the years that he wasn't the greatest father and he wasn't around, that he felt indebted to her. So when she calls and she needs help or she needs money or she needs whatever she needs, he feels like it's his duty. He needs to do it. He needs to step in and he needs to help. He also feels uncomfortable saying no to her. He doesn't like confrontation. He doesn't want to argue. He doesn't want to fight. Okay. He's just one of those guys who just wants to smooth everything over. All right. And I say that that's an emotional connection because anytime you still feel indebted to, responsible for someone from your past, especially a past relationship, honey, it's an emotional tie. And he never cut the fucking umbilical cord. And furthermore, he should have never gotten married. He should have never made a commitment to another woman until he was able to wipe that slate clean and decide that he was no longer going to be anything for that woman other than a friend if that's what they chose. But he is not responsible for that woman in any way, shape, or form. Okay? It doesn't matter what happened in his past. It doesn't matter what she did for his children. It doesn't matter how she stood up in the midst of taking care of their kids when he wasn't available. Okay? That's in the past. You have a new wife now. You have a new family. You have new responsibilities. Okay? And you should not take money out of your household with your current wife in secret to give to someone else. Okay? It is completely and utterly a form of emotional affairs and emotional cheating because you're talking to her so comfortably that she feels okay with asking you for money. All right. So at any rate, I shared with that queen how I felt and she agreed 1000%. She actually beat me to the punch and told me everything that I was thinking from her story anyway. And she decided to have a very, 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 very fucking stern conversation with her husband and set some boundaries that if that relationship doesn't change expeditiously, that is an absolute deal breaker for her. And I applaud that queen. Listen, queens, know your worth. Okay? Know your worth. Don't listen to people's excuses about why they still have to have a tie to someone else or why they have to put someone else in front of you or why they have to tend to someone else's needs in front of yours all the time. Don't tolerate it. Don't put up with it. Don't put up with the bullshit excuses that people are giving you as to why they can't love you, why they can't give you their heart, why they're afraid to love, why they're afraid of commitment, why they're not ready for marriage, why they don't want to be public with your relationship, blah, 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 blah. Don't put up with that shit. Queens, I'm telling you now, if someone is doing those things and saying those things, it's not because they're not ready. It's not because they can't do it. It's not because they're incapable. Well, let me rephrase. It is because they're not ready. But it's not because they're incapable, okay? It's because they're choosing at this point to continue to have a tie to something or someone else. That's it, okay? So, queens, let me give you, queens, 3 things you can do, okay? Because I always give you 3 things that you can do if you're in this situation, all right? So it's 2 different perspectives to this, all right? Here's the first thing. If you think that you're in a relationship with someone, or you're in a situationship with someone, or you're dating someone who is emotionally unavailable, like if some of the characteristics and some of the things that I've explained sounds familiar to you, like you're experiencing it, here's one of the things, and I only have one thing. Here's one thing that you can do to get yourself out of that situation or to resolve that situation, okay? Number 1, I want you to do exactly what the queen from the story did. I want you to have a conversation with that person and create the boundary, okay? Either you're going to give me the love, the attention, and the respect that I deserve, or I'm going to bow out, okay? Because you cannot sit back and tolerate and wait for people to decide when they're going to commit to you. It doesn't take that much. It's just a freaking decision. And you deserve for someone to make that decision and put you first and put you in that intimate space in their life that's reserved for vulnerable love and commitment. You deserve that, queen. If it's what you want, you fucking deserve it. And don't you accept anything less, okay? So that's that. And if that man or woman cannot make that commitment for you, if they come up with any excuse, give them the deuces. Chuck the deuces and get the fuck out of there. Run, okay? Get out of there. Okay, because there's someone on this planet, there is someone that is for you, that will love you the way you deserve to be loved, and you don't have to fucking compromise for it, and you do not have to settle for anything less than what you want, okay? So, now, here's 3 things that you can do if you're the one who has an emotional tie with someone in your life or from your past, okay? Because sometimes, queens, again, sometimes it's us. Sometimes we're the ones who have the problems that I talk about on the podcast. Sometimes I'm talking to us. I'm not talking about everyone else. I'm not talking about who's doing this to you or who's treating you badly. Sometimes it's really us who have to break these chains and move on and learn how to let go of some of the habits that we've created that are holding us back from living the lives that we want and experiencing what we want and manifesting what we want. So if you feel like that you're a person who has some emotional ties with someone that you need to let go, here's 3 things that you can do to resolve that. Okay. The first thing is just make a decision. Just make a decision. Making a decision is a powerful thing. And as soon as you make the decision, you don't necessarily see the results as soon as you make the decision. But the minute that you make the decision, the universe starts to move and shift things so that you have a clear path to walk down to get where you now have decided you're trying to go. Okay? Literally, the universe starts shifting and moving as soon as you make a decision. So that's the first thing that I want you to do, queens. Make a decision that you're just no longer going to have this tie to this person. You're no longer going to let this person have this control over you. You're no longer going to continue to run back to someone who you know is not good for you. You're no longer going to pick up the phone and call that same man who fucking doesn't respect you just because you're having a little issue in this new relationship. You're no longer going to continue to hold on to your ex talking about, oh, girl, he still want me. Girl, so the fuck what? If he does so, if he don't so, why are you still talking about it? Let it go, okay? Make a decision today. Let it go. Don't care. Stop worrying about whether he wants your ass or not. Okay, if he wanted you that bad, I'm pretty sure y'all would probably be together. And whatever issue you experience with him, it wouldn't have happened. All right? Okay, here's number 2. Self-reflect. This is a big one. Self-reflect on why you're maintaining a connection with said person. Really, really, really think about it, right? Get a pen and a piece of paper. And just take some time and sit in a corner and have some quiet time and just let your mind wander and write down what comes to your mind. Think about it, queens. Really, really, really think about it. Really, really think about what is keeping you in contact with this person. What excuses are you making to yourself as to why you're still fucking talking to this person? What excuses are you making as to why you're still responding to their text? What excuses are you making to why you're quote unquote saying you're friends? Oh, that's my best friend. Oh, that's my homegirl. Oh, this my boyfriend. Oh, this my dude. Oh, da da da. Why are you holding on? Why? Why are you keeping that person in an intimate space if they're a part of your past? Okay. If it's your mom, because I know one person who I feel like her mom is in her intimate space and she's like, I want to get married, but, you know, I live with my mom, or her mom lives with her, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you know, it's like when you watch her and her mom, they remind you of husband and wife. They do everything together. They travel together. They go to church together. They do everything together, honey. And I'm not saying that you can't have that bond with your mom, but sometimes you have to really look and think about, why am I holding my mom this close in this space? How is anybody else supposed to get in? And sometimes that's not even a healthy relationship with your mom. Look, I'm close with my mom too. I talk to my mother every day, but my mom isn't in my intimate space. My mom has a whole husband that's in her intimate space, right? And I have a husband who's in my intimate space. But it doesn't mean that my mom is not my best friend, is not my ride or die, is not the person I confide in, is not the person I talk to every day, okay? So you can have that close bond of a relationship with your parents, with your children, with your sister, with your best friend. You can have those close, intimate relationships without those people being in your intimate space. And I may make an episode about that intimate space thing because I don't know that I'm really explaining it as in depth. And I think that I might be confusing y'all, but at any rate, so really do some self-reflection and think about why you're holding that person in that space. What are you getting from them? What void is that person filling? And once you come up with an answer where you understand why you're holding them in that space, okay, whatever insecurity it is that they're fulfilling or void they're fulfilling, mentally and emotionally heal that part of yourself. Once you heal that part that relationship is filling a void for, you'll no longer need that intimate connection, okay? And it'll be easier for you to make the decision. Okay, now, third thing that you can do, right? Cut off all contact. That's one of the easiest things, baby. Block, delete. Delete the text message string. Delete their phone number. Delete the contact information. Delete all the emails, honey. To block them or unfriend them on social media. Stop seeing everything that they're doing all the time. Okay? Cut the ties. Sometimes cutting the ties physically will help you to move into the cutting of the tie emotionally and spiritually. Okay? So, Queens, I am way over my 30 minutes of the Motivate Her segment, okay? I'm way over, but that is a wrap for today's episode. Queens, I really, really hope that you learned something, that you gained something from this topic. It is something that I really wanted to talk about because it kind of really hurt my heart to listen to that queen's story because her feelings were really, really hurt. But I commend that queen for standing up for herself and recognizing her worth and letting that husband know, honey, that he needed to make some immediate motherfucking changes, okay? So with that being said, Queens, I love you, Queens, so, so, so much. You guys just don't understand the amount of love that I have for you. I hope you can feel it. I hope you can feel it in my energy. I hope you can hear it in my voice. I hope that my vibrations and my frequency are literally emanating from whatever device you're listening to this podcast on, and that it seeps into your spirit and you feel this virtual hug and this virtual love that I have for you, Queens, because I really, really mean it. You Queens give me so much life. I hope I give you even more life and love. With that being said, Queens, I hope that if you are not following the All Queens Army podcast on Instagram, please go to All Queens Army on Instagram and hit follow. We're also on Facebook. You can follow All Queens Army there as well. And make sure you drop us a nice review after this episode, honey. Okay, Queens? All right. Until next Monday, I love you, Queens, so much. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the All Queens Army podcast. If you want to connect with Breizy Time and the All Queens Army, be sure to follow them on IG and Facebook at All Queens Army. Or head over and check out the All Queens Army YouTube channel. Until next time.